Hello guys, Stefan here. Welcome to the stream. Tonight we're gonna keep working on the Predator, our boy here. That it took me quite some time to bring to that point last time on the Friday, and hopefully tonight we're gonna try and wrap this up. So I guess also I should say that since I left on the stream on Friday, after that I worked a little bit on it offline. It was just something that bothered me quite a lot, and I couldn't really wait for the next stream to try and fix this. So worked a little bit on it, and this is where I ended up. So I have two versions, both of the same. They're essentially exactly the same. The only difference is that this one I managed to reduce the scale, the size quite a bit. So I think at that size now he's about fine now. He's all right. This one it's probably okay. Still big, but it's manageable. This one is still really too big overall. So I think we're gonna keep this one. Yeah. So what I did, I just changed a little bit the face mask. That part was a little too rounded and weird, so I fixed this a little bit. And the main thing was that I changed the legs. I had different legs, and but I didn't really like them, so I blocked in some new legs really quickly that I think work a bit better overall. And also, I mean, the body is almost the same. I just try to make him a little less beefy. He was a bit too big overall, so I try to gain as much in terms of size as I could. Try to really keep him to a reasonable size. But the big thing was really trying to block in new legs. So that's where I'm at now. I'm not gonna keep the taller version. Just wanted to show you, but I mean it's really very similar. The only difference is really that this one is much bigger, so we're not gonna keep this. And so tonight's gonna be really just a matter of just finishing him, getting the final level of polish, rendering and lighting. But I think at that point I'm not gonna mess up with the main elements, the foundation. I think at that point it's all right. So flip him real quick. So I wanted to get legs that would make him look a little bit more in motion, but also I felt like the other legs, they were either too dynamic, not too dynamic, but too they were it's hard. I don't really know how to put this, but I felt like they were disconnected with the body. The body has this sort of a confident, relaxed pose, and the legs felt like more like action legs, like the ones that I had there on Rambo. So it didn't really work. So, and I had the other set of legs that were on the contrary a little too bland and didn't have much dynamic to them. They were very, very stiff, so I didn't like those either. So this I felt like was an okay compromise. Murder Bunny, hello, how are you? Welcome. What are you doing? yeah, so I think those legs are fine now. Should be all right. So now it's really just a matter of finishing that dude. It's gonna be mainly trying to get a bit more contrast lighting overall. I get a sense of some specularity on and reflection of the armor or the metallic parts, and that's about it. Maybe we'll see if we can have him hold the famous skull and spine. Not sure, because might be I don't know if the pose is very good for that, but we'll see once we get. Hey Sheik, welcome to the lurk. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the lurk. Always appreciate it. So let's get right into it. So I guess I'm just gonna. I think the body now is a bit further than the legs. The legs are still a little bit more rough, so I'm gonna try and get the legs in a slightly better space, and then once we're about the same, we'll just level up everything at the same time at that point. I'll keep my reference there on the side, but it's really at that point it's mainly about making sure I get roughly the details, how they look. It's not really about pose or anything. It's just making sure that I don't things like this, like that wire, little details that we can try and get. So legs. So we got the belt. I'm gonna have to probably collapse this with the body now. It's probably leave that one back leg separate from on a separate layer, because I may have to just move it a little bit last second, but everything else can be on one layer now. It's probably fine. Let's try and get those legs to work. There's not much to do really at that point. So we got this thing. Get a bit of detail in there. Not necessarily gonna try and get exactly the same design as this. For about to play Diablo 3. Oh, Diablo 3. You know, it's funny. I was playing. Thank you. I'm glad you like him. Yeah, he's a tough one. This guy. He gave me quite a bit of grief, I have to say. Last time, it took me a while to get to a point where I felt that was acceptable. He's a bit tricky. It's always a problem with those designs when they're very iconic, like that mask. You know, they can really turn bad if you can't get those few elements like the dreadlocks, the mask, and maybe this spot. If you can't get those right, then everything falls apart. So yeah, Diablo 3. I was actually I got really back into it since I got the Switch edition, and it runs so well on the Switch. It's crazy. A really solid 60 FPS. Very they did a really a great job, I think, on the port. And it's cool because they it seems like they have it's kind of like the Ultimate Edition, where they have all the DLC in there and all the different you know, improvements that they made over the years, like for the end game and in sort of high level content. So it's actually pretty good. Probably gonna spend quite some time in it. Now, if you guys remember video games, actually, it's funny. I found the reference because if you guys remember, Contra came out in the same year or a year later as Predator. And if you guys look at this, how crazy! This was the NES Contra cover art in the United States, and that was the Predator poster. Anything familiar? Really crazy that they just straight up went there. You know, they didn't like no no apologies. They just straight up ripped off the poster from Predator. Pretty interesting. And I'm pretty sure that this guy back there is probably a Billy, or heavily inspired from probably another pose that of the Billy character in the film. And they even have an alien back there, because why not, you know? Since they were there, they figured we'll just go all the way, you know, no shame. So anyway, I thought that was funny to see, but you know, it's fine. It's just funny. I think I wonder how would that go nowadays or something like this. They might get in hot water if they would rip off a design to that extent, to that of similarities. I think I'm tempted to have a bit more of that loincloth or whatever it is. Maybe a bit more of it. Not a big fan of the short loincloth. It's a bit strange to me. And do you guys know this small little trivia for you guys? There is one actor that has been killed by all the major monsters, modern iconic monsters of cinema. He's been he has faced and he has been killed by a Terminator, a T-800 to be precise. He's been killed by a Predator, and he's also been killed by an alien. Who do you think could that be? There's only one actor that actually faced all creatures and got killed by every single one of them. I wonder if someone knows here. The actor passed away a few years ago. I really liked him. He was a good dude. I'll leave you with this. You can try and think about it, and you can do your little research on Wikipedia. I wonder if I should have more of that triangle shape there. It's not a super fun design either anyway, so It's not like but maybe I should try and get more of that triangle shape. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't really like that shape too much, but like I said, it's I don't didn't make that design, so I still have to try and respect it a little bit at least. Here we have that thing there. It's like this thing. Really strange. It almost looks like it's been a hard time understanding what they meant there. It's almost like you know, when you have a car that's been a little bit damaged in a fender bender. It doesn't look like this was by design. It almost looks like it's a product of you know, weathering or damage. Very strange. Not sure I can render that much complexity anyway, so I think we'll probably just stick to something a bit simpler. 3 sort of scales or plates overlapping each other should be enough. And again, I think we want to make sure that we don't necessarily draw too much attention in a specific area, namely this area, not the most interesting. So we don't want to put too much detail that would draw the eye. We're going to try and make this part the most interesting. In fact, even I think the amount of the contrast that we get from a reflection of the metal, maybe we'll put a little bit more oomph in this area than this one. So far, I'm just trying to get the basics. Oh, hold on, this should be gonna keep the back leg as a back leg. Like to avoid too much tangent there, so maybe we'll have to move that arm a little bit. I don't want it too. I mean, if his body is a little slightly 3/4, so it makes sense that this arm would be more inside than out. But I really want to make sure that we get a nice clean readability there. So may have to make a decision. What I could maybe do is suggest that his arm is more bent, you know, back there, that back arm, and so this will raise this spot. It's a bit more dynamic to have you know, from one arm to the other, to have not everything at the same level. And also it will make it will separate the arm a little bit from the legs, so it's kind of killing two birds with one stone there. I think we may want to do that. So I'm gonna give you the answer. The actor that got in hot waters with all those creatures was Bill Paxton. So Bill Paxton, if you remember, he was still very young in Terminator. The first Terminator. He was the very first. There was this group of 3 punk guys that the T-800 meets at the very beginning, and that's and he takes the jacket out of one of them, and this is it. This is him. This is Bill Paxton there. He was young, and he was like, oh, dude, you know, he was and that's this guy's jacket. If you guys remember, it's this guy's jacket that the Terminator will pick. But that's Bill Paxton right there. So we don't see him technically being killed, but we can assume of what happened, since the scene after that he's wearing this dude's clothes, and you know, Terminator is really not the most subtle when it comes down to his conflict management, you know. So we can be pretty sure that those guys got killed. Then Bill Paxton, he was in Aliens. He was Hudson. Aliens. Bill Paxton. He was Hudson, if you remember, the guy who keeps complaining all the time. Eventually gets killed too, but he's doing a whole lot of whining and complaining throughout the entire movie. So he's facing aliens too, and finally he was a police officer in Predator 2. Well, the guy who keeps hitting on you know, women, he's kind of like the ladies' man. He's a kind of a goofy character, and he's facing that scene. He's facing the predator in the subway, in the train, and this is where he gets killed. So there, that's the answer to that little piece of trivia. He was a good friend of James Cameron. Ended up in a bunch of James Cameron movies, and but he died pretty young, actually. I don't remember his age, but yeah, I don't think he was in his early 60s, not even, maybe. So pretty sad. Let's see, Paxton. I think he had a cancer or something. Yeah, 61. Very very young. Yeah, he had a stroke. That's crazy. Yeah, just disappeared overnight. He was gone. He's a good actor. He was great in. I think actually his the part that I really like him the best for was what he did in the TV show Big Love, where he plays the role of a guy who has 3 wives in Utah, Mormon. Very, very good show. Strange, kind of a weird premise when you think of it, about polygamy, but it's a really nice, it's a really great show. I recommend it if you have the opportunity to watch it. I think this is probably all right. There's really the question of the mesh. I don't think we can afford to have the mesh. We're just gonna have to pretend that it's just too small. Because I mean, we could have some sort of let's say on a separate layer, we could have some sort of dithering on it, and then keep this to a very low contrast. But even this will be I think will be extremely confusing. But anyway, we'll give it a shot real quick. What am I doing? Does he have it on the arms? Not sure. Definitely on the legs, but yeah, I guess so. Well, whatever. We'll put it everywhere for now. One thing you can do when you want to quickly try a pattern or something on some character, you can select the character. This will become a mask, right? And what you do is then you give it you give a layer mask to that pattern that you've made. So you select the content of the layer first that you want, where you want that pattern to be. So control click on this layer, which is the body, and then this is all selected. Hit Q and you see the mask. So now I have this selected, and all I have to do now is select the layer where the pattern is, and hit this button. It will create a layer mask. So now there is a mask, and the pattern will only be visible where the mask allows for it. And so if you unlink the mask and the content of the layer, then you can move around your layer, but the mask will stay in place. So you can essentially move your pattern, try it in different areas, but you're sure that it's never going to go outside of the boundaries. Let's see, so that's a little trick there. And then we could play with the opacity of this. You know, so I mean, one thing we could do is have more of it in certain areas, a bit darker, and sort of fade it out around the areas where they would be it would be lighter. So for instance, we can put it in multiply mode. So let's say multiply. So the layer, the pattern will be darker, more visible in shadow, and I can play with the opacity. And then what I could do is paint in the layer mask there areas where I don't want it, or I want it less visible. So if I paint in that layer mask at maybe 50% opacity, around 50%, then in black, then this is what happens. The areas that I paint will that pattern will be less visible. So this is something we could do. So it would basically mean that we showcase the pattern more and almost get rid of it entirely, where in the lightest part of the body, the areas that pick up the most light, And so this is what it does. That's not too bad. I mean, I wonder, we could do that. If I don't want it in this area at all I have to do is paint in black in 100%, and then this will get rid of it altogether. So no pattern there, nothing there. But I don't really know if that reads as a mesh or if it's just reading as some sort of dithering that I did because I didn't have enough colors, you know, which is really not what we want. So I don't know what's the best. You can see if I really crank the intensity, you can see that there's much more where it's darker, a bit less visible where the light is hitting the most. So it's a question: does this work, or is it really just trouble, you know, and confusion? Not quite sure. We're gonna leave it out for now and render everything, get everything done, and then I guess at that point we can make a final call on it. So I think I'm going to oh, wrong layer. I can commit this now, it's fine. I'm not a big fan of that red. I'm gonna try and go a little less saturated even. I'm really not a big fan of that reddish color. And honestly, I think I mean, that's the problem for me, is if you look at this, where do you look first? Is this, because this is really the one outstanding spot of color, and that's such a problem for me in terms of this is never something that I would do, and I would never make that decision, because I would be concerned that I draw the only color in the entire design is not in the most interesting place. So you know, if it was if the dreadlocks were colored in a certain way or something like this would be fine, you know. The eyes would be colored in a certain way. If he had like a certain sort of a war paint or markings of that color on the helmet, that would be fine too. But this is such an odd decision, and in fact I don't think it matters that I really have to stick with this so much, because when you think of the movie, I never knew he had I really remember all of that. I remember him being essentially a gray character, you know, metallic, with some white skin that is reminiscent of some crab mollusk skin. That's what I remember. So I don't think people would remember, would miss this, you know, if the color is not that present. I still have a little bit of it, but I don't think people will be like, oh, where's the red shorts, you know, in the Predator. I mean, even this is this is an actual footage from the film, and you can sort of tell that there is something, but you can barely make that color. Very hard to make the color of this, so I don't really think it matters that much. So I'm gonna leave it very subdued. I think it's probably the best decision. So okay, try maybe have a little bit of a somewhat of a design there in the belt. Okay, what else? So we have this more or less. Can try and just slightly suggest a bit of muscle there. Very subtle. We don't need to overdo this, but suggestion of the muscle in the thigh. I think we can do. It's a bit nicer. So this is good. What's there here? Maybe we can try this. So it would be just two little sort of bit of an indentation. What level is this? Yeah, around there, I guess. This could be maybe a little lower. Yeah, I think it's a bit better. What class do you play? If you can hear me, Marta Bernie, what class do you play in Diablo? I'm curious. I've tried a monk last time, and I had a lot of fun with it. Actually, it's very fast, like you expect, but it played so differently, very much like almost like a fighting game. It was really interesting. You jump around from one group of mobs to the other, and there was this really super fun sort of very aggressive style. It's very fast class. Even rolling the character early in the very first levels, very early in the game, I was able to get the orbs for when you kill a group of mobs fast enough, you get the experience orbs, the golden orbs, and I was able to get them even in hard mode with a low level character, which is harder to do with the other classes, I feel. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I think I'm gonna keep this character. I haven't tried all the classes. I haven't tried the Crusader, some of the new classes. I don't know them. Something a bit get rid of this from the other leg. And again, here this is more of a sort of a suggestion of that kind of a detail that there is there, but I'm not gonna get the detail to be very perfectly accurate to what the character is. It's not really possible at that size. As long as we get a base that's and a couple of details that are reminiscent of that, then that's probably good enough. Be a bit too complicated. We want to get too crazy, you know. And detail is nice, but in the end, you still have to be able to read things. So trying to find a balance there that works, you know. I think I probably want to keep things just a bit simpler. I mean, there's really those facets, you know. It's kind of a faceted design. So I think I probably want to try and convey that. Keep this simple as well. We'll do something doesn't draw too much attention either there. Okay, so skin is probably all right. So we got that. I think we're more or less okay there. Okay, so I think this is probably good enough for that. Now let's see this. I think I'm gonna have those claws extended like this. Same thing. This is I guess this is probably something that people remember quite well. So we'll try to at least convey this. Maybe have a kind of a separation there from the hand to that sort of same thing. I'm not a big fan of those shapes. I think I've already mentioned this, but so I'll just cheat a little bit and make them slightly different to what they are. But I think as long as we're things look roughly similar, I think I can afford to be to make things a bit different. Can't really go too again too high contrast, because things that tend to become very hard to read. So we want to try and make show just enough, you know, the detail so that so there is the question of those the skin is very he's got this these spots, dark spots, and I guess it's pretty important for the character, but again they mess up the readability so much. It's a shame. In fact, look at what this guy did there. He really got rid of the most part, make them way more subtle. It's still there, but less present. And I think he probably thought the same thing, that this was getting a bit complex, you know, visually a bit too busy. This is when you have all of that plus the mesh on top. It's a lot of visual complexity. So maybe what we can try and there is to just have a few areas that would be darker, but that's going to be tricky no matter what, because that's going to mess up with the lighting of the darker areas of the body that are darker, because you know they're in shadow, in shade, you know. There's so the whole rendering of form is really dependent on the light versus dark. So if I had another dark color on top of everything, that might just mess things up really bad for the lighting. So I'll try to maybe have a layer in multiply and see if we can suggest a few areas that would be darker. It's way too strong right now, but I'll play with the opacity eventually. Right now it's just to try and work on the placement. this even gets in the way of that gets confusing. Even there, you confused this trap with this color. It's a bit of a shame, in my opinion. We may end up having just a few pixels here and there already. So by playing with the opacity, you can maybe try and get something. There needs to be quite a bit of saturation in it. So that it's not confused with lighting, but it's very much like a different skin color. Just gonna push a really strong color into it for now, but it's just because I want to make sure that I see it for now. So I'm tempted to have something a bit cooler, like a blue or a green. So that's the color, and underneath I have the multiply, so that's the value. So I've essentially separated the pattern in two layers. One would be for value and one would be for color, and that way I can play with those two separately. I can decide to have to change the color without affecting the brightness. I can go lighter and keep the hue the same, and so on and so forth, you know. So now it's a matter of trying to find something. Really not that confident that we can get something that would read properly. So one thing we can do, because I may have to change the pattern all the time, so I'll tell you what we'll do. I think we're going to try something. So let's first let's finish. Make sure we have a final rendering on all the lighting on the skin first. Gonna make sure that I get this clean, and once we get that sorted out and final, we'll do a little trick for the skin pattern. We'll see if it works or not. Try to get a nice shadow there of that plate there. We'll try to suggest a bit of shadowing in that area. And there is so much that you can render, you know, at some point. This is already probably a bit more than I would normally render in terms of anatomy, but okay, maybe I can have a bit more contrast there as well in the leg. It's probably enough at this point. Don't really want to again to complexify everything so much that that everything becomes hard to read. So we'll consider this to be our skin. Let me get rid of this for now. Let's make the back leg and back arm first. And once we get everything, we can work on trying to get a pattern maybe. But for now, let's make sure that get everything sorted. I think this leg is fine. Generally, on the back leg, I will always actually I will refrain to render too much because usually there's less contrast in shadow. So I try not to push the rendering too much in the back. Can have barely anything in lighting because we want a clean read of this leg against the other. So it's better to leave this very simple. Even that metal there. Can leave this very simple. Okay, then This is I'm just gonna name things real quick. Arm, that's leg, and that's body. Armor. Well, he's got that's I think that's the device that he uses to nuke the place at the very end when he knows that he's done for, that he's going to lose. He uses this as some sort of a final joke to play on Dutch, the military guy, because he's kind of a sore loser, so he figures that you know, lust for lust, he'd rather try and kill Dutch with and bring him in death with him. So I think that's the arm for it. So we can have a suggestion of a little bit of a detail, like you know, he's got the countdown screen there with the weird you know, alien display. So maybe we can I don't know if it's a good idea. We'll try real quick. Maybe have a suggestion of some displays that are a bit lit, you know. There's something. Maybe a bit of a blue. This is a bit too much, I think. Yeah, maybe just one accent like this, and the rest we can. And same thing. I'm gonna avoid too much contrast in the back arm, so I'm not gonna go too crazy there. Go quite dark. I'll try to keep this a bit dark too, because this plate, the chest plate, should read against the arm. So let's see. We'll do a bit of a suggestion of detail, but not too crazy. Then we have the Parrot Gun. I think the Parrot Gun will consider this as part of the body, so that's going to be our back arm. We can also have this is always nice. It's a nice breakup of the silhouette. Let's see if we can have the little wire or whatever. May have to go a little lighter, because again, for don't want too much contrast, so that it won't read as too thick, you know. Don't know. I don't know if it's a very good idea. should, at least, at the very least, I think it needs to be, feel like it's connected somewhere. Like this is nice, but I don't know if I want a big. Maybe we'll have we'll see. Let's try and resolve that first. Maybe something like that. So back arm, and then so this technically is a bit of arm, so we could maybe show a little bit of skin there. Just a bit. Okay, so that would be more or less a back arm, and then okay, got our sort of a claw hand or whatnot. Maybe be longer. If I should have a longer finger, more of a hand that's separated from that sort of a panel thing. That thing here. Not sure. So I guess let's leave it at that for now. It's alright. Well, I'll go back to this if needed. So I got the back arm there, and then body is the final area that we want to. So there's a interesting. He's got some sort of a necklace. Unfortunately, it's the very bone color is very similar to his skin, so I don't think I'm gonna bother doing this. I don't think we'll read unless I represent it in a different color. But I guess we could try and get this sort of a little that little pendant there around across the body, and more interestingly, there we get some little skulls, little animal skulls around it. So, but I'm gonna do this on a separate layer. I'll use the same color there as this for the. But I want to, yeah, do it definitely on a separate layer because I have no idea if this is gonna be too. Again, maybe we'll use this color. It's gonna be too complicated, too messy, you know. I guess it's kind of nice to have something across the chest. But I don't know if I'm gonna be able. We'll go a little very light and try and suggest those little skulls. But it's so small, and it's an area where you already have. It could be mistaken for his skin very easily. That's the issue that we have right there. Go even lighter, maybe. Not too confident that this is very good idea. It's just very, very I think it's unfortunate. It's more confusing than anything else. Might not be worth, unless we can find a really clever way of doing this, but honestly doubt that we can do that. Here it would be nice to feel like saying there's a little pendant, but oof, really not sure. So one thing we can do is kind of pretend that there's a shadow underneath to try and separate those little skull things. That would maybe help a little bit. I think I'm just making everything generally a bit too complicated. I like the idea of it, but unfortunately it's very difficult to yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure we want to do that. Especially if on top of that there has to be some kind of a little darker zones on areas on the skin. That's another added complexity. Maybe this is getting a bit much at that point. Plus, but we'll have to make choices. It's going to be either we do the mesh, or maybe we don't do the pendant, or we do the coloration of the skin and no mesh. Or it has to be a combination of things. Yeah, that thing's tricky. Guess I could always have it just be a bit shorter. Maybe it reads a bit better this way. But Yeah, I'm not sure. It's the big question there. Should I do this or not? Tell you what, we'll keep it for now, and we'll see how it goes. Was pretty much done. So that bit of a rendering we can do there. We'll do same thing. We'll do I think something fairly simple. Not to be too fancy there. Where I put this? Oh, that's the wrong layer. Let's not put this there. We'll keep this as the pendant. It's complex enough. I want to make sure we get a clear read on at least a couple of dreadlocks. Really, it's very critical. No, I'll cheat the length a bit, but what the hell, you know. I want to make sure that there's no doubt there. See if we can get this down. Be something like that. You know, and they look a little bit more floaty than you know, than they should, I guess, because normally they're not like hair. You know, they don't. They have quite a bit of weight to them. So I can't really do the super, curly stuff like this, because this looks too light. It's kind of trying to find again somewhat of a, I think that's conveys the idea. And then we have the mask. Put a bit more lighting on those, they're nice. Trying to find so just a few more of those brass things there. So helmet. Now there's a really nice design there, but let's see if I can suggest this. I don't want it to be too strong, too obvious, but maybe that's nice to have a bit of something. You can have it a bit darker on the side. Something like this, maybe. Oh, is that an impact from a bullet? Maybe. Oh, see, this is really cool, dude. There's like this sort of indentation there. I don't have it, so I guess I should try and get this. Afraid I'm not gonna be able. This is so weird. Look, this is the same window as this, right? And I just changed something, and you don't see it reflected. It's Photoshop bug. Look, I'm gonna click on this window, and boom, just appear. So that's a bug that I've noticed with my Photoshop. So maybe that's enough to give us what we need. Get that little mark. It's sort of I think it's really really part of it. You should probably have it. Getting pretty close now overall in terms of all detail and stuff. So we have that sort of plate there here. This is an interesting shape too. The fact that starts curves there. Don't know if I have enough pixels to do that. Unfortunately, it's we don't. There's no – reason not to try. And that's as good as it's getting. You kind of have it, but it's way bigger than there. Not exactly the same shape. I don't know. But I'm a bit worried that this is generally a bit too complicated, you know. Can try to have just a bit of a vent or something. 2 pixels. But I have this one in the way. Yeah, now we're already down to the super nitty gritty detail. This is not the time to realize that your proportions are a bit off or something like this. That's what I was mentioning that I was always obsessed with trying to get the pose and everything right, because it's the worst nightmare to get there and realize that you have to change the an entire body pose, or at that point it's getting really late in the game to do any of that stuff, you know. I'm gonna keep this clean. So here it's kind of nice to have a bit of a, but I'd have to go really much darker in order to read. But I honestly doubt that it's gonna get confused with all that other stuff. So I don't know if we can do that. I think this is a bit unnecessary, honestly, and I think we're honestly better off getting just a bit more separation there between the arm and then trying to get this little wire or whatnot. Try and get this a bit cleaner. It's a bit much, so I'm gonna reduce the that contrast just a bit. I don't know if I really like this, to be very honest. A bit too much, I think. Okay, then the Parrot Gun. I mean, I think the Parrot Gun, what's the best is probably to try and read this, like first a shape, then definitely the neck, and then whatever, you know, and then the sort of the muzzle of it. So maybe what we can do is separate this a bit more, so that we can really show that that little neck there. There's really not much we can. So small, same thing, very very small. So it's maybe best to leave it fairly kind of like to the imagination of the viewer, you know. Okay, so wow, that's a lot of stuff, happening. So one of the ideas that I was wanting to show you guys is let's say we take the skin now that we've rendered all of it and it's all good and ready. We can take that skin, we'll take all the skin, make sure we don't grab anything else with the skin. So let's say this. I have to have all the layers now of the skin in one though, so I can take everything, merge everything on the layer on top, and then copy that skin like this. So now we have this is how it works. We have an arm, a leg there, back leg, we have the body, and then on top of everything I have just the skin. Get rid of that. So now for instance I can go super hold on. Oh, I know what I did too. I had some white in there. So now I can go, you know, I can do anything with the skin basically. Go like this. I can go desat more, you know, go more green skin, whatever. But the point of this is now we can, let's say, take this extra skin and multiply it on top. So we have, let's say we have a darker skin on top. We can, I'm gonna keep it on a different version because I may try different things. So I can decon this, decontrast a little bit. So let's say this would be sort of our darker skin. And now I can have here a layer mask, right? And basically now I'm painting in this layer. I can decide where I want the darker skin. So if I fill this layer matte with black being there's nothing, and white is it's 100% there. So now I have black on the entire layer mask, so basically the dark skin doesn't show anywhere. And now all I have to do is click on the layer mask, and then now I can paint in white, and I can decide where I want the dark skin to appear, like this. And if I change my mind, I paint in black, and that'll bring back the light skin. So now I can go back and forth and try all sorts of different different patterns if I want. If I wanted to have some kind of cool war paint, you know, like this, then I could do it. Let's see. So that's a good little trick if you want to try things, and you can't really commit because you don't really know what is it gonna be, you know, in the end exactly. So now we can try and then what's great is that this doesn't affect it's really only a placement of that different skin. And then if I go back on the actual skin layer, not the layer mask, but the skin, I can change the color of it. I can decide that it's going to be lighter or darker. I can try all sorts of different things, and still paint, bring some more or remove some of it. You know, it's completely independent now. So I have a lot of doing this. You have a lot of flexibility to do whatever you want. You know. But you see, like I was saying, how this messes up with the lighting, because if I put dark skin where the skin is the most lit, then this messes up our sense of lighting. So it's difficult to pick areas that read where the dark skin would not read as lighting or shadow, but as actual a darker hue, or you know, a darker complexion or spots or whatever. That's where it's difficult. That's why I put all of this in a separate layer, because I'm not sure I can get this to read like this. It might just end up being just a big mess, you know. So one way to deal with this sort of stuff is like to do the sort of a dinosaur skin. It's usually all like the spots on an animal. Is usually you'll have dark spots that are a certain size, and then they kind of reduce in size. They form a sort of a flow, you know, go from more to less. But the problem is here it's just really small overall. I mean, everything is just so small, and it's even with the best of intentions in some method, it's gonna be really difficult, I think, to because it's still a part of, I mean, I feel like it's kind of an important thing for him, you know, this spotty skin. But can we it's like I don't want to ruin the entire thing just to get that detail, you know what I mean? It's very tricky. So we'll give it a bit of give it a chance for a few minutes, you know. It's so hard. Because now this gets confused with this. Can also paint not fully opaque, fully 100% opacity, and so then that will show just a bit of the dark skin, but not 100%. So really, those layer masks, they give a lot of flexibility. So I guess this is a bit more Predator than that. If I want to lighten up those ones, I can just paint with black, but 50%, and you see they get a bit less visible. So maybe that. Can't really go too crazy. And now if we have this on top, ugh. Yeah, I think like as I suspected, we have to make choices, and this on top of it is just too much. I'm gonna get rid of this pendant there. It's just crazy. And of course we can't really have the mesh, because that's another. So I think, to me, that's as far as we should probably go. I think that's probably enough. So we're getting really close now to this guy to being done. One final little touch, I guess. So there's two things. We can try and give him this the skull there, but I don't really know where. I mean, I don't want to confuse this, and I think we need to keep the claws. There were such a trademark of that character that I don't think we can mess with this. So it would have to be this hand, but then this hand is kind of like way in the back, so I think it'll be very awkward, you know. Don't know if it's really a good idea. But there is one thing though we should now try and get is a bit of more of a specularity and reflection of the metal. So this is so we'll do that on a separate layer, because like you seen on all the metallic creature designs, there's this reflection. Is a hard contrast reflection. Even the characters with like him, fairly sort of a shiny skin, they have a bit more reflection going off. This guy is the most shiny metallic of all, so I think we need to get same thing for the helmet there. Trying to get a little bit of that, because right now everything is very matte. So I think we can try and do that. Same thing on the alien. It's got a nice shine on him. Show you. I think I kept the reflection separate usually. Xenomorph there. So there, see all matte, and then some highlight there, some specularity, and then highlights in reflection. This makes it more shiny and a bit wet looking. So we'll try to get just a bit of that in for him. Go Predator. That was a crazy costume to wear for the actor. It weighed 100 pounds. The whole thing. So you can imagine how tough it must have been for the actor to move in this thing. And he couldn't even see with the helmet on, so he had to memorize the during fights with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He had to memorize the motions and everything, because he couldn't really couldn't really see what was going on, so you had to sort of learn the choreography by heart, not only his but also the one from his opponent, you know. I think before I do this, I think this is a bit too light. The same color as this. Hold on. Yeah, for some reason it looks very light. I think I'm gonna go a bit darker. Yeah, that might be okay. Those this sort of stuff is good to just bring a bit more sense of a material, you know, on something. But I will also darken the metal overall on him. I think he's a bit too light. So what I'll do, I have to select the skin and tricky to do, but bear with me for a second. Bit of technical stuff going on there. So I want to preserve have all the metal and everything on a separate layer on top. I think I'll probably get rid of the dreadlock, because I don't want to mess up with the contrast in this area. It's really just for the metallic parts of the outfit. So we'll keep just everything that's not black, you know. I think I'm gonna get rid of that, and I'll get rid of that as well. So clean. Okay, so now all the metal there. I have the extra, remember the dog skin. It's getting a bit complex, but this character is fairly complex. Underneath I have the whole body with the loincloth and everything, and the skin. But since I have the metal on top, then I can just change the like the metallic parts now, like this. Keep the leg there, arm, okay. That's the metal there. So what I can do is go just a bit darker overall, and crank the contrast a bit. The reason I'm doing this is because it's a bit cooler with a darker, and you look at the amount of contrast there is between his skin and the armor is quite intense, you know. Even there, it's a fairly dark metal, so I think we need this. And then the spec, all the reflection will look even more, will show a bit more if you see, if the metal is a bit darker than this specularity, and I could crank it twice as much, you know, but I'm going to do this necessarily, but it's just to show you that it shows a bit more on the darker there. Simple. So this way, you know, we can do some more interesting metal. Okay. Also, usually I try to give a bit of coloration to metal. I never quite like when it's all gray. For instance, Terminator, Robocop there is a very blue, it's very blue steel. Even to a certain extent, there is a bit of a color. There's a bit of a green tint in the orange end. It might not show when you look at it like this. It might just look like gray metal, but I'll show you if I completely desat, I kill all the saturation, look at the difference. See, this without any saturation, and now with the green, without, and now bang. So it's a bit nicer to have a bit of color in the metal. So we'll do the same for our boy there. His metal, we can go and use. Usually, I like to do this color balance. It's a very simple. It's a simpler version of the curves. This is the curves where you can take every separate the different components of the image, the different channels, the red, the green, and the blue, and you can change their value like this. While color balance is a simpler version of that, where things are broken down into mid-tone, highlights, and shadow, and also you can push towards the midtones. If you want to push the midtones toward the red, then you push this towards the red. You know, simple enough. If you want the highlights and then towards the yellow, for instance, then you do that. So you see, that's the problem with the curves. The curve would be much more precise right there because everything is very dark. it has some issues to try and separate the different values. So when I change the highlights or change the midtones, I still grab everything. So that's the only issue. If I was using, show you, if I was using the curves, it's way more precise, because for instance I could say I want this value there, which sits around here, to have more blue. Then I could raise this, or obviously everything climbs with it, even the highlights, because this is a curve. But if I add another point now, and I can preserve the highlights, so you'll see it's getting very precise, where I can have certain values that will go to blue, but not all of them. So this is a more sophisticated way. See, if you can see this, but here definitely more blue, a bit more purple, but this is still a bit more desat, because I've decided that I'm preserving some values. I can be super granular, you know, and decide that only a few values. See how I can separate everything, like how green those pixels are compared to those, because they all sit in the different space there. So it's just a bit of a nicer way. So we'll do that. I think I'll go a little bit more green overall. And blue. We can always click preview to see the difference. I think I want the highlights, which is you know, the lightest part, to take a bit of a green tint. And I kind of want here going to apply it to everything, so it doesn't matter. I change the skin a little bit too. I think it's a bit too, maybe a bit too saturated. I kind of like it not too much saturation. Got a bit too a bit too dark with the middle, so I'm adjusting this a bit. So very subtle variations at this point. It's a bit plain. I need to just do something with that. we're just gonna give it just a bit of information, so it's not all one color. So I don't really like what I've done with the color and the suit. See if I could. Yeah, I'm just gonna go a bit actually a bit warmer for once on the armor. I feel like this character needs to be a bit monochromatic overall. He's got a lot of earth tones. He's kind of all muddy, and so I feel like probably need to do that. Yeah, I think I like it better this way for him. You guys probably can't even see the difference on the stream because the colors are too subtle, and I think the compression on the stream won't even show it probably, but trust me, there's a bit of a difference. You'll see it. I think I want to go a bit darker in the middle, at the bottom of the yeah. It's a bit unbalanced, I think. Yeah. At this point, I think we're getting really close to the end now. Let's flip him. Oh, there's a bit of a pixel there. The size is about, it's probably all right. Yeah, I think he's fine. This can be a bit more contrasted as well. Let me see if I forget a lot of things. It's really about the helmet mainly. That's the big deal. At that. That's eventually I'm going to commit everything to one layer. But I want to do it tonight. I'll do it tomorrow because I just want to make sure that there's been so many things in this design that I don't trust myself too much at the moment. Not enough to commit to everything. I will eventually. I will, but oh, I got rid of. I lost the color there. Let's bring this back. It's nice to have just a bit of a tiny accent of color. It's always nice. Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be it, guys. I think we're gonna be done unless I've overdone the highlights there. I'm gonna be a little more conservative. Same thing here. See, that's the good thing is that I can really focus more contrast or more highlights in the upper part of the on the head, so that to draw the eye towards this area. There's a little pixel there. I have to find which layer it is. Which one it is? Has to be one. No? Hold on. What's going on? Not the arm. Body. Middle. Wow, that's on. Okay. Body. And then metal. Okay, so yeah, tomorrow we'll look at him one last time, and then if that's if he's still okay, I will collapse everything on one layer. For now, let's give it a chance to. Should I go a little darker? The back. I think the back leg can be a bit darker. Looking one last time. Well, hopefully that looks like a part of the. I'll be honest. I've worked for so long on him that I don't really see him anymore. So I hope it does what it's supposed to do. It's kind of hard for me to tell honestly at this point, unfortunately. So I have to pray that that it's all right, and we'll see. We'll know most likely tomorrow. Usually it's good. Give it one day of rest, and all the problems will jump at me usually. At least the main most obvious ones. yeah. And I can, I still can go back if because there's some it's something nice to have a pure skin, So I don't know. You know what? Maybe can't go too. I can't have it too low either because then there's no point in and it's still messy. So still have to have something. It's either we have something and it's there, it's visible, or and it's a clear intention, or if it's not right, then we get rid of it entirely. So going in between won't really help us too much, I think, in there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If I was very bold right now, I would try and make that head, that crazy face, have a version without the helmet on. But I don't feel particularly courageous right now. So would be nice, But what time is it? 2 hour, 2.5 hours. I guess I have a little bit of time, so I mean I could just for the challenge. We could try it, Put another layer. We'll just try really quickly. Give it a few minutes just for the challenge. I don't think it's gonna go well, but we'll see. Let's try. This is gonna be a disaster. I know it. But hey, it's no prize if you don't try it, right? No prize. So we have to go for it. Get rid of that for now. I don't even have the top of the head. Do I? Let me see. Don't think that I have the reference of the whole head. We'll make it up. the thing is, if I was gonna do this, I need to change the pose. I would need to really because to me he's way more savage, and he's way wilder when he's doesn't have the helmet on, so he can't really have that same pose. It's just not right, you know. And so I'd have to take the advantage, like make a completely different pose, and turn his head completely different way, and I'd have to open the jaws, like do something like this, you know, like a scream. So so it could be done, but I don't think there's a point of doing this in this form, you know, with this. There's no point in doing this with this spells and everything, so we won't do it. But anyway, could have been done, but like I said, it had to be like a full commitment to everything, pretty much a redo of the character. So let's not do that, okay? It's been spent 6 hours on this guy so far, so enough is enough. I think we're gonna move on to somebody else, because he's I don't want to push the he's not super shiny. He's sort of a dull metal, so I think don't want to push the metal too much. It's like this is better, and maybe just a couple of really strong hits. Really a couple, and that's it, you know. I think that might be the best. Okay, yeah, I don't know about that skin. I'm still very indecisive about that. I'll look at him tomorrow, and decide at that point. Well, let's give him a shadow as usual. What's the tradition? A little shadow for a new guy. Guess something like this. Oh. move him a bit. Okay. I think we're done. I think we're gonna be done there. Let's have him. Let's move him around. See how he feels compared to everyone else. Nice and big. Good. Good presence. That's what we want. Wow, look at that. That's pretty, that'd be an interesting team right there. Both of them together. Oh, Dorothy. Probably an impressive sight for her. Even Rambo is a bit can hang out with in the park with Forrest. There, try the chocolates. And is he bigger than? He's yeah, about the same size as a darkness. Okay. Yeah, I think he's alright. Overall, I can't help but think that he lacks still just a bit of contrast. And I think it's probably in the skin, but let me just do a quick gonna okay, I'm just gonna add a quick contrast layer on top of everything, just for it's mainly for skin that I'm looking at. I think we could maybe do that. Gives him a very light skin, but kind of like that. If we don't want to push the saturation, we can put this in luminosity. Yeah, I think it's okay to do that, I believe. Have a look tomorrow now. How to really have a hard time to see him anymore. He's just become almost abstract at this point for me. So I still like this clear skin better than the spots. But I'm still wonder if the spots are not still important because they're part of this creature. So quite confused with this. Not gonna lie, guys. I'm pretty confused with that. I'm still very torn there. Can't decide. I really can't. I guess maybe hopefully hopefully tomorrow I'll know. I hope. I hope it'll be a bit clearer tomorrow. Is there no guarantee, but we'll see. Yeah, so there you have it. The Predator. It was a pretty challenging asset to do, but it was still good fun and a very important character in all the whole mythology of action movies from the 80s. So I think it was important to try and get him. So yeah, it's gonna be it for me for tonight. We're closing in on 2 hours and 40 minutes, and then I'll be back on what is it today? Monday. On Wednesday, I'll be back on Wednesday, and with a new character. We'll keep working on that list of 120 or so characters that I hopefully I plan to achieve at some point. So it's the slow grind, one at a time. We'll get there. So thank you everyone for being here. I hope you guys liked what you've seen. That was interesting for you to watch, and then that you'll be back. And as usual, if you have suggestions or things that you would like to see more me doing, if you want me to go back to maybe a little environment tile, I could do that. At some point I'll have to try and work on an actual mock-up screen for the game. That's going to be a big deal. Try and figure out an actual, with the environment, a bunch of characters in it, and all everything. So maybe we can try and do that too at some point. So if you have ideas or things that you want to see, please let me know. And in the meantime, I wish you a good night or a good day, depending where you are. And hopefully I'll see you back now on Wednesday at 9 Pacific time, 9 p.m. Pacific time, for some new pixel art stuff. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.